Was this horrific beheading in Oklahoma an act of terrorism? I submit to you, it is the wrong question. Now, I want to go back in history. If you're a Christian, if I said to you, what's the Sermon on the Mount? Where's the Sermon on the Mount recorded? What was Christ's first public miracle? What did Jesus say to the repentant sinner on the cross? If I started to pull these questions out of you, you'd say, oh yeah, I know that one. Oh yeah, I know that one. What happened when when Jesus was walking on the water? And Peter said, and then Jesus said, and then what happened with Peter? All right, you following me? Your mind would go, I know that, I know that, I know that. We don't know the details of Muhammad's life as Westerners. They know the details of Muhammad's life. All right? Like we know the details of Christ's life, whether it's from Sunday school stories when we were kids or from devout study of the scriptures now as adults. Okay? So when this man, Alton Nolan, converted to Islam, he did what many adults who convert to Christianity do. Okay, you've heard the testimonies. Guys go to their hotel room, they pick up a Gideon's Bible, they start reading the Gospels, and they become convicted of their sins. They turn to Christ for forgiveness, and they say, I'm a new man. They've had a conversion, okay? And then they start this intense Bible study, and they start telling people about the Lord, the zeal of the new convert, all right? Well, this man, this murderer, had recently become a Muslim, and what did he do? Well, he did what any new convert would do. He started studying the life of his hero, Muhammad. He started reading the histories of Islam. He started reading the writings of those who explained Islam and the goals of Islam. And he started to dress like a Muslim. And he went to the mosque. It's almost funny what the reaction from the people in the mosque was about this man. Let me read to you a couple of their quotes. A spokesman for an Oklahoma City Islamic group said Saturday that Nolan was a frequent worshiper at a mosque, the group maintains, and that he remembers the suspect as a little weird. And then Mr. Syed Muhammad went on to say, he was a nice, quiet, low-key guy. He acted a little odd, Muhammad said, though he added that Nolan's behavior never raised any red flags. Well, forgive me, but it begs the question, did they ever talk about what Nolan was reading? Did he ever talk about who his friends were on Facebook? Did he discuss ISIS or Al-Qaeda or the Muslims that are trying to throw the infidels out of their lands? Well, yeah, sure, normal conversation with Muslims, but nothing a little weird. I mean, nothing, no red flags. The narrative of Muhammad's life is so stark and so other to us that unless we read that narrative and study that narrative, we will never understand what's going on. So let me make a point. The Battle of Bidar is considered a seminal moment in Islamic history. It was the first major battle that Muhammad and his troops won. There were 300 of them. They had about 100 camels and 2 horses. And they were fighting 1,000 Meccans who were heavily armed and had heavy cavalry. All right? In a situation like that, the Meccans should have destroyed the Muslims. Muhammad, the night before the battle, prayed all night and then made all these claims to his followers that if they would fight and die in battle, that they would receive paradise immediately. Well, at the Battle of Bidar, the Muslims won, okay? And then fast forward to a few years ago when Nicholas Berg had his head cut off. The murderer said, God has left us an example in the blessed prophet with the slow cutting of the prisoners' necks at the Battle of Bidar. The murderer referred back to Bidar. Bidar is to the Muslim world what the changing the water into wine is for the Christian world. It's the testimonial miracle from God himself that this is the prophet. For Christianity, it's that this is the Son of God. For Islam, it's that this is the prophet. And the men who died in the Battle of Bidar, who were Muhammad's followers, are all considered martyred. They have the honor of martyrs. Their names are kept, and it is this glorious seminal moment. But remember, they decapitated, they sawed the necks, they cut the heads off of their prisoners, according to al-Zarqawi. So if Muhammad was alive today, and we studied him, and he duplicated his acts at the Battle of Bidar, or the Battle of Uhud, or the battle, or the treatment of the Jews at Banu Qurayza, the Jews who he ordered to be decapitated, between 600 and 900 men, from their teenage years all the way to old men, stooped with age. When he sat there and had ditches dug and had their heads cut off one at a time and then their bodies pushed into these ditches. The texts say that Muhammad made an end of them. They were brought in batches to the apostle and he struck off their heads. Okay? The text puts Muhammad right in the middle of that. So if Muhammad was alive today, in Iraq, in Syria, and did the exact same things that he did when he was here on this earth, would we say this is a terrorist attack? What would we call him? Would we call him a freedom fighter? Would we call him a guerrilla warrior? Would we call him something else? The question, is this a terrorist attack, is the wrong question. I will tell you the right question when we come back from this break.